The night Hollywood went silent, fame did not protect them, money did not save them, and love did not stop what happened behind closed doors. In one of Los Angeles's most exclusive neighborhoods, inside a home that symbolized decades of success, two people were found dead, violently, brutally, and unexpectedly. Rob Reiner, Hollywood icon, beloved filmmaker, a man whose work defined generations, and his wife, Michele Reiner. They were not victims of a robbery. They were not killed by a stranger. Investigators would soon focus on the most unthinkable possibility of all, someone from inside the family. And as details emerged, a far more uncomfortable question followed. How does a family collapse so completely, without the world seeing it coming? Rob Reiner's life unfolded in public. For decades, he was synonymous with success, directing, producing, and shaping some of the most culturally significant films in American cinema. His career spanned comedy, drama, romance, and political commentary. But behind the cameras, Rob was also a husband, a father, a man navigating aging, legacy, and family responsibilities. Michele Reiner, his wife, was known to those close to her as private, intelligent, and fiercely devoted to her family. Unlike her husband, she did not seek the spotlight, but she lived within its gravity. Together, they built a household that appeared stable from the outside. But stability, investigators often say, can be an illusion. The Reiners had children, including a son who, according to later reporting, had been battling serious mental health challenges for years. This is where the story demands caution. Mental illness does not equal violence. Most people struggling with psychiatric disorders are not dangerous, and no diagnosis alone explains a crime. But in this case, mental illness would become a central contextual factor, not a conclusion. Reports later indicated that the son had experienced long-term psychological instability, periods of treatment and relapse, difficult family dynamics, episodes that required intervention. None of this meant tragedy was inevitable, until it was. On a December morning, first responders were called to the Reiner residence. Inside the home, Rob Reiner and Michele Reiner were found deceased. The injuries were severe. Law enforcement quickly ruled out accidental death, natural causes, random burglary. This was a homicide. The crime scene indicated sharp force injuries, suggesting a bladed weapon had been used. The house, once filled with conversations, scripts, laughter, became silent. Word spread quickly. Hollywood was stunned. But investigators were already asking a harder question. Who had access? Police secured the scene and began reconstructing the timeline. There were no signs of forced entry, no evidence of an outside intruder, no indication of a break-in. That narrowed the scope dramatically. Attention turned inward. Within hours, investigators focused on a family member, the Reiner's adult son. This was not a declaration of guilt. It was a procedure. In crimes without forced entry, the circle always tightens. The son was taken into custody. Authorities announced that he had been arrested and charged with 2 counts of murder in connection with the deaths of his parents. At this stage, it is critical to state clearly, an arrest is not a conviction. Charges are allegations, not proof. Every defendant is presumed innocent until proven guilty in court. The case immediately took on national significance, not just because of who Rob Reiner was, but because of what the case represented. A family tragedy, a mental health crisis, and a justice system now tasked with balancing accountability and illness. Following the arrest, reports emerged that the accused was placed on suicide watch while in custody. This alone spoke volumes. Suicide watch is not punishment, it is prevention. It suggested severe psychological distress, possible risk of self-harm, the gravity of what had occurred. Mental health experts weighed in publicly, emphasizing the need for restraint in judgment. A central question emerged. Was this a crime driven by malice, or by untreated, uncontrolled psychiatric breakdown? The law does not ignore mental illness, but it does not excuse homicide automatically either. The courtroom would become the place where that distinction mattered most. As of now, many details remain sealed or undisclosed. Investigators have not publicly confirmed a clear motive, the sequence of events leading up to the deaths, whether warnings were missed, whether prior incidents foreshadowed the outcome. This absence of clarity fuels speculation, but speculation is not evidence. What is known? 2 people are dead. A son stands accused. Mental illness is a significant factor. A family has been destroyed. High-profile cases attract noise. Within days, social media flooded with unverified claims, armchair diagnoses, political narratives, sensationalized headlines. This is dangerous, because true crime is not entertainment first. It is real life, real loss, real consequences. The Reiner case demands discipline, restraint, and respect for facts. Rob Reiner's death was not just personal. It marked the sudden end of a living legacy. Colleagues described him as passionate, opinionated, generous, deeply committed to storytelling. His films shaped generations. But now, his name is tied to a tragedy that no one, least of all him, could have imagined. Beyond headlines and charges, there is grief. Extended family members now carry public scrutiny, private mourning, a story they never chose. They must grieve Rob. They must grieve Michele. And they must grapple with the unbearable complexity of loving someone accused of killing them. There are no clean endings here, only aftermath. As this case moves through the legal system, unanswered questions linger. Could intervention have changed the outcome? Were warning signs missed or misunderstood? How should families navigate severe mental illness when resources fail? Where does compassion end and accountability begin? These questions extend far beyond one household. They touch thousands of families living quietly with similar fears. At the time of this documentary, court proceedings are ongoing. No verdict has been reached. No final conclusions can be drawn. What remains is uncertainty, and the responsibility to wait for the truth, not rush ahead of it. This is not just a celebrity crime story. It is a warning about untreated mental illness, about family systems under strain, about how quickly life can fracture when support collapses. It reminds us that tragedy does not discriminate. Not by fame, not by wealth, not by success. 2 people are gone. A son's future hangs in the balance. And the world watches not to be entertained, but to understand. Because somewhere tonight, another family is struggling quietly. And what we learn from this case may matter more than we realize. Thank you for watching Silent Evidence True Crime Exposed. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for another chilling true story.